hold on. Right, I'm gonna have to start all that again because you never heard a word I was saying, did you? Because I hadn't unmuted myself and I have a certain person laughing in my ear just now. Um, so, um, first off the bat, people, thank you very much for turning up. And this is a quick disclaimer to say that we are not diagnosing or anything like that on mental health issues. This is just two friends chatting about their own personal issues. So please bear that in mind when we talk about maybe what works for us, because what works for one person possibly doesn't work for another. So we're not on that level. We're just talking about it, trying to get it out there, and maybe even just venting a bit, because everyone needs to get stuff off their chest eventually. In saying that, we're going to bounce into the bar and bump into Ette Lil Rage. And you're here and you should be unmuted. There you go.
Hello. Am I here?
You are.
I am here. Hello, everybody. Hold on. Little wave. Ho, ho, ho. Hello. Hello. Exactly what you KPI said. I can only go off of my own experiences and things that have worked for me. And you know what? If you do take it on and you decide it helps you, then hopefully it does. But, I'm not here to, you know, diagnose anybody or anything like that.
Exactly. But first off the bat, let's just introduce yourself and where we can find you on YouTube, and just plug away. Plug away.
Okay. Hello. I am Ette Lil Rage. I prefer they them pronouns, please. You can find me on my channel. At Ette Lil Rage.
Actually, people, the link is in the description below.
Oh, way down
so
below.
bang,
Ooh.
go in there.
Okay. Uh, and there's also to say that my no, sorry, my brain's glitched. Ignore me. I'd like to say that my Geo Sam was the person who edited my avatar
Link
on the
below.
thumbnail, link below, and the creator whose name I cannot pronounce of this character is down below as well, as I see.
He is, yes.
So yeah, give credit to them. Although this is all me moving about.
It's an incredible moving. Oh God, that is wicked. I love that.
I think it's very cool because, my boundaries are I'm not comfortable on camera. So this is a way you might be able to see some facial expressions, or you might see my eye glitch. But I blame dogs for that because I got dog hair in my eye.
So, what are we having in the bar tonight?
In the bar tonight, I'm having a 7-Up sugar-free because this is me not on sugar, so imagine me on sugar.
Oh.
So we don't want that. We want a very calm and relaxed day.
Yeah.
And what about yourself?
I'm having a lemon tea for a change.
Woohoo!
And it's I love this stuff. I live off it at night time because I used to be a big caffeine drinker, so I could never
Mm.
sleep. So I had to
Yeah.
find some other drink that would actually just chill me out a little bit, just be comfortable.
Mm. And it's always nice to have like a nice tasty drink at bedtime to settle you in.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Um, me and Tusk like to have milk and honey because it helps you get sleepy.
Oh, that's dead posh though, isn't it?
It's very posh, but it's full fat milk, you see.
Ah, well, there you go.
The blue stuff.
So, hasn't the weather been bloody brilliant to us?
Oh, it's been awfully cracking. It's really pretty. The sky tonight is beautiful. What was it? What's the saying? Sorry, this is me looking out my window. Was it bright skies at night, shepherd's delight?
Shepherd's delight, red sky in
Hmm.
morning, shepherd's warning. Yeah, something like that.
It's all bright and it genuinely looks like the background of my one of my channel pictures.
Yeah.
It's really pretty.
And that sort of leads quite into what we're going to sort of be discussing in a roundabout
Hmm.
way with only um, whoever wants or feels comfortable with asking any questions. So
Hmm.
keep that in the mind, chat. If you want to ask a question, uh, ask anything you like, but
Hmm.
um, that doesn't necessarily mean to say that you're going to get an answer.
That is awfully true.
But as I said, that the daylight has led us into this discussion beautifully because I think half of my mental health issues certainly it seems to get worse during the winter months when it's
Hmm.
darker. I don't know if that's the same with you, that
Oh, it is. Most weather changes, I seem to have a little blip somewhere in my mental health. Not like the normal blips, but like a bit more erratic behavior.
yeah.
Um, so to try and help combat that, I got this sad lamp. I was talking about it in the side chat, and
Yeah.
it gives off like vitamin D. It's awfully good. It does help me a lot. And I just sit there and I sun myself with my bearded dragon, and it does seem to help a lot. I've
Yeah.
not relapsed since.
I've looked into them quite a lot, um,
Mhm.
and they're not overly expensive, are they? Not
Mm-mm.
really.
No,
Um,
they are under like £40. You can get them for.
yeah,
I don't know the one I got because it was a gift, so I'm not sure. Um, but you can find them quite cheap on Amazon. And you know what? If it doesn't necessarily work for you mentally, it's an awfully good light to tweeze your eyebrows.
oh, but there you go. And everyone needs one of them,
Oh yeah.
especially with eyebrows like mine. Bloody hell!
You haven't seen mine.
But
They
I,
can be
but
feral.
but these are good Scottish eyebrows. We need eyebrows like that. It keeps the snow out of our eyes when we're walking along the road.
Most people, it's normally the sweat out of their eyes, but for us, it's the snow.
Yeah, exactly. Uh,
Oh.
so I know we've had quite a few little chats
Mhm.
privately and even on uh, your Discord about mental health issues, and I think everyone knows now that I have borderline personality disorder
Mhm.
with like God, there's 100 things attached to it. You know, there's depression and anxiety and things that all sort of get attached to it. So, what kind of diagnosis were you given?
I was given BPD also, which is borderline personality disorder. However, the name has been changed recently, but I keep sticking with BPD because it's a lot easier and people recognize it. Um, but it's been changed to emotional instability disorder.
All right.
Um, yeah, fun fact, or not so fun fact, depending on how you look at it. But there was the misunderstanding that BPD was a personality disorder because of the name.
Yeah.
So lots of people thought it was, but I correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is what my therapist told me at the time who diagnosed me when I was 18. Um she said that they originally thought it was the bridge between bipolar and schizophrenia because they do share a lot of the traits because with BPD you can have like the paranoid delusions and like the sort of obscure reality
Yeah.
and like you can almost in a way convince yourself that you're hearing things and because you're adamant that you're doing other people's thinking for them. I'm really good at that. I'm really good at doing everybody else's thinking for them, but I'm normally wrong. Which I do appreciate because it, you know, in my head, lots of people have very nasty thoughts about me.
Oh
And
dear.
I would imagine some people have some, and you can't please everybody. But it has a lot of links with bipolar because of the mood swings. Um, but it's easier to describe BPD like bipolar but fast.
Yes, that's the
Mhm.
way that I was told that
Mhm.
bipolar lasts over days, whereas BPD it's you know it can happen within an hour or a minute or two. It fluctuates during an actual day.
Mhm.
You don't have a long episode of um, being high or being low. It
Yeah.
it can fluctuate throughout the day.
It can change within the blink of an eye.
Yeah, which is
Mostly.
actually, I mean, um, yeah, but we're allowed to sort of semi laugh about it because
Mhm.
we um, live with it on a daily basis.
Mhm.
Um, but it can be bloody draining.
Oh, it is absolutely exhausting. And many times people have asked me why I look so tired, like in real life, and I'm like, oh, I've just been awfully busy. But what I mean by that is I've been very busy in my head.
Yeah.
I've been very, very busy there. And like half the time you just want to sleep because it's emotional whiplash. It is emotional whiplash. That's why I have a really early set bedtime because what I find helps me is have a really strong routine.
Okay.
And I do try my best to be quite proactive with my own mental health. Like I have things to the best of my ability in place for that. And for like in my bag, I've literally got like smells that bring back good memories and positive things that like bring me back to that, like soft things, different textures. Like I've got like a little zip bag in my bag of like emergency mental health kit. Like my friends love it because I've got quite a lot of friends with autism. So there's a lot of fidgety things in there too. But I'm also going through the process of being diagnosed or ruling out autism for myself as well.
Right.
So that's how I stumbled across all that stuff. And I'm gonna tell you, keeping your hands busy when you're having a panic attack on the bus can distract you a fair bit.
Yeah, depending on what you're doing with your hands at the time, I guess. But
Oh, playing with a fidget cube, of course.
right, okay. As long as it's not in someone else's handbag, rifling through their
No,
things.
that's one thing I don't do. Well, that's one of many things I don't do actually. No, I've got such a guilty face. Like I look like I've done something wrong even though I haven't. So I
So,
couldn't.
so, how early on in life uh, did you get that final diagnosis?
Of BPD,
Yeah.
I was actually 18. So I
Right.
was relatively young
That was quite
in my
young. Yeah.
that was probably because my behavior was very, very erratic. Um I'd been in and out of CAMS, which is Child Adolescent Mental Health Service, for a very long time, avoiding all questions at all costs and telling everybody what they want to hear because I was really good at reading people like that, which don't do. Just be, you need to be honest. um, but that's how I got away with it for so long, if that makes sense, while
Yeah.
also being a very volatile person. Um, but they refused to want to diagnose me until I'd gone through puberty because they kept blaming it on my menstrual cycle, which I think is ridiculous. Which
Like,
don't do.
yes,
Some
just be,
people
you need,
have really bad menstrual cycles that can really affect them mentally, but I was having mine completely out of whack out of my cycle. In fact, they even put me on a contraceptive pill to try and regulate my emotions throughout that time to
Yeah.
think because that's how convinced they were thinking it was that and not something deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, for myself, I mean, we're not going to sex stereotypes or anything, but
Hmm.
because I'm a bloke, I was misdiagnosed that many times because they missed the fact that actually blokes, they put the temper tantrums and things like that down to, well, that's just what a bloke does.
Yeah. Unfortunately, society seems it more acceptable for how do I say this? People that were assigned male at birth. I
Mm.
think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
They see that as a more it's more socially acceptable for a man to turn so for
Argue
for
out loud in public and
yeah,
be
punch a
vocal.
wall
Yeah.
and act
Yeah.
violent and drive irrationally and all of this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That's more socially acceptable. While when I was doing stuff like that, they were like, oh no,
Oh,
like,
scary person.
yeah, what's
Yeah.
that all about? Like I mean, I'd had my fair run-ins in school. I was heavily bullied. I was kicked down the stairs while I had a broken leg. Lots of stuff was going on. As soon as my leg was healed, I grabbed that girl by the hair and dragged her into the playground and done her in. um, not my proudest moments. I'm laughing with awkwardness, not because I find it
Oh,
funny.
no.
So that was not okay for me to do, but the boys in my class, it was fine for them to behave that way.
Yeah. Or
It didn't make
it
sense.
was more uh, maybe not okay, but the teachers or people would understand it.
And the terrible saying, boys will be boys.
Yeah, exactly. And it's trying to drag ourselves out of the 1800s into, you know, 21st century to say, come on, there's not that much of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
There might be a physical on the inside and the outside. There might be physical differences, but mentally, we're all human beings at the end of the day, aren't we?
It's strange how we gender things like that. I don't understand why we do, because that's the reason why I've gotten to the age I am today. And they're like, oh, you might be autistic. Because, like, females assigned by at birth tend to get diagnosed in much later life from autism.
Right.
And I know we're not talking about that, but it's the flip side of it, because so like stereotypically, now we're stereotyping here,
Yes.
um AFAB people tend to learn what's socially acceptable and not socially acceptable because they tend to learn like emotionally and socially before. I can't remember the abbreviation for the other one. So socially before boy assigned by at birth, like they tend to learn that
Yeah. Yeah.
faster. So it's more prominent and it's more obvious because of the way the brain actually stereotypically works.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
weird.
well, exactly. I know.
I mean, most AFAB people I know that have been diagnosed with autism, it's been in their late 30s. And how are
Right.
you going to get to that age and not have that diagnosed?
Well,
And it's the same.
hopefully that's sort of changing now. Hopefully we're getting slightly more open and
I hope
more
so. I hope
understanding.
so.
Because I don't know if it was the same for you, but when I was I was diagnosed a lot later than you. I was in my 30s. I had
Hmm.
uh, different diagnoses up to that point, you know.
Hmm.
But when they actually put that moniker on it, so
Hmm.
I was able to actually look it up and understand it. It
Hmm.
I gained some sort of release from it.
Yeah. No, I did as well. I learned some of the reasons why. I learned that mine was through trauma, and I slowly start to learn what my triggers were. Um, and I also, although I did do that, but I didn't tell anybody for a year.
Hmm.
And the reason why I didn't tell anybody for a year was because coming home after being diagnosed with BPD, guess what I seen on telly?
What was
It was
that?
something like a CSI or NCIS thing on somebody that was BPD,
Oh,
and
and the
because of their
serial
abandonment
killer
issues,
was BPD,
they,
was he?
yeah, they kidnapped somebody and tortured them to love them because they were so scared of abandonment. And I was like, oh no. So I felt like I couldn't go home and tell my father while we were sitting watching this TV show together.
Yeah,
I couldn't turn around and go, I've got that. Because I would be like, I'm going to scare everyone.
yeah. Suddenly you've become a psychopath. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm. And that's a whole different diagnosis.
Well, it is. Well, hopefully.
It is.
um, I I would hate to think. Although, in saying that, BPD is very close.
Yes, it does display some traits.
Um, Depending on how acute. Obviously, with any illness, there's different levels, and even or whether or not it's been actually diagnosed before an event, so they could intervene. Normally, when you're talking about the severe things that have happened um, with sufferers from BPD that have gone on to do um, despicable things, they haven't found out the fact that they had BPD up until they've done that event.
Hmm.
So they could have had intervention, couldn't they? Really,
Yes.
if but still, to this day, mental health is. Now, I don't know whether or not it's the people that have it that just don't want to accept, or whether or not it's because they don't have the staff out there or the knowledge to deal with it. Um, but you can go for years um, on a waiting list to see a
Yeah.
psychiatrist.
Well, at the start of COVID, I've had a couple of episodes. But at the start of COVID, I had a very terrible one. My routine changed, and that was my stability that made me feel safe. I had a full time job, I was self employed. Things were going well for me. I was saving up to go to Japan, all these things. And then the next day, none of that could happen anymore. Um, and I still hadn't been signed up with a doctor, you know. So I signed up with a doctor at the very beginning of COVID because we'd moved about a year before that and I didn't need a doctor. Anyway,
Yeah.
I digress. And I was on a waiting list to go into trauma therapy since then until maybe, hold on, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks ago.
Right. Yeah.
And that's like over 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I went in to the doctors and I was crying. I cried my heart out. Tusk had to hold me up. And I was begging for help. I didn't want to hurt myself. I didn't want to hurt anyone around me. But I was really struggling. And and I just needed someone to listen and help me. And they say, "Oh, that's really, really sad for you. Um, here's some like medication. We suggest you maybe take it in the meantime." Like I don't even really remember the conversation. I was that not well.
Yeah.
And then I went back again, just like maybe 2 weeks before Christmas. Tusk kind of half dragged me. Thank you very much to Tusk. Um, because I'd had another episode. I've become very unwell, very erratic, um, sobbing almost all the time, and it'd been the first time that I'd felt like that since.
Right.
You know, and that was the first time I kind of some I I was so adamant that I didn't want to be on medication. And it's not because I'm against medication, but it's because I wanted to go through therapy first, like go through trauma therapy first. And I hoped that I'd make it to that point. How I thought that logic, I don't know. But I wanted to go through that first and go through more different options that I'd been before rather than, you know, taking a tablet. But I found that taking the tablet gave me the breathing space to process to be able to go for the therapy. I don't think I would have felt so comfortable talking about half the stuff I have without the breathing space and the ever so slight detachment because I'm very lucky they give me the right thing first try.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a babble, but I hope that makes
No,
sense.
no, it does. It does. I've just noticed that the ticker behind us is all to shit, but I'll sort that over time. Uh, let's take 2 seconds out just to see if anyone in the chat has been. Sorry, people, I'm going to have to put my old man glasses on. Oh, I know, very
Don't worry, you don't
distinguished.
need to apologize for wearing
Oh,
glasses.
I'm very distinguished with them on.
You are, you are. You don't need to talk about yourself like that. That's not nice.
Oh, Rob Parks is in. Hi, Rob. And he said, men are aggressive and women are irrational. So they say. And yeah,
What happens if you're both at
I
the same time?
ex- exactly. Or at different times, even. But
Yeah.
um,
I mean,
yeah. Um,
I I chose my name Little Rage because I'm 5'2" without my shoes on, and I can be a little angry ball of rage.
oh well,
You
there
know,
you
I
go.
really can
But
be.
your little avatar just looks so cute and cuddly, so
But that's what
I
people
don't
tell me
believe
in
that.
real life.
Is anyone asking any questions? Oh, Rob Slide thinks I look pretty cool in my glasses. Yeah, okay, whatever. I don't know if you caught last week's stream with Rob Parks, but
Great guy.
I mentioned the fact that I'm a big vanity case when it comes to things like that, and glasses were never, they just weren't my thing.
It's 'cause you don't have Star Wars ones like me.
Oh, well. Has anyone in the chat got anything to ask? Either myself or it, or are you just happy for us to start just carrying on blabbing on about our moans and groans of the day, the week, the year, the month, or whatever? No,
Oh, 'cause
actually,
I've
I'm
got a few up my sleeve.
I'm not sure whether or not it helps other people. I'm hoping that um, it would strike a chord. When you're open about something. When you're chatting on the street to someone or in a cafe or and you're open about something. Maybe they just don't feel quite so alone and bizarre and weird that actually
Mhm.
it's a thing. There's other people out there. It's not that weird.
No, I think everybody at some point in their life will have some kind of struggle mentally somewhere. You know, I do think that. I hope it not to be true, but I do think it is.
I think the majority, if not 100% of the people out there, even if um, they're very successful in life, that doesn't mean to say that they don't have their own set of worries and anxieties.
Hmm. And
And
I mean, I'm sure everybody has some kind of loss in their life too,
yeah,
which can which can be really difficult and traumatic.
exactly.
I think I was always scared to open up to my friends and be as honest as I was about what happened throughout my childhood and what happened throughout my adult years and and I've always hidden shame from it because I felt like I'd be shamed. But I've learned that when I have shared some of my experiences, my not so pleasant ones, that people tend to seem to understand a lot more than I thought they would.
Oh, here's a question. It's for both of us. In the UK, this is from Rob Parks, who's obviously in the US. He's asking, in the UK, is there a belief that violence and mental illness are linked?
I don't know if I can completely answer that question, but I can say that for what I've seen and learned, that sometimes,
Mm.
sometimes they do. Um, there's this. In fact, I was talking about this with a friend. Um, there's this kind of, is somebody bad or are they sick and
Yeah,
ill?
yeah.
And if they're bad, they need punished. And if they're ill or sick, they need help. And sometimes I feel like the balance is uneven and trying to figure that out. There's people that are clearly not right, like mentally, and they need help and they've never got it.
Mm.
And, people that other people would say was bad. There's been people that have been crying for help before they've done anything violently.
Or there's that set uh, amount of people that try and use mental health as a get out clause.
Mhm. Even when
Um,
it's not,
yeah,
you
don't
know,
don't put me in
it's
prison. Put
difficult.
me in a mental institute because
Like they somehow think that's going to be a walk in the park.
yeah, what exactly? I've been in a couple and mm, yeah, the Royal Ed is. There's
Strange.
a hospital. Sorry, for people that don't know, um, I come from Scotland. So does Ette come from Scotland, the east coast of Scotland, and there's a hospital, a mental institute or hospital. I don't know what you call it nowadays. It's called the Royal Edinburgh. Pretty
Mm,
pretty much in the centre. It's not far off the
no.
centre of Edinburgh, really. And um, when they talk about mental institution, I now know what they mean because the place is absolutely bonkers. It's barking mad. Even the staff, I think, are raging.
Just a little bit.
You can't. Well, certainly I couldn't sleep at night for hearing "Wah, wah, wah," screaming and shouting, and you think, oh God, all bloody night. Um, Something's kicking off, something's going on. It's just a strange, weird type place, institute. And I don't. I mean, I only stayed there. I think for 2 nights before I was moved to my local hospital. Um, but 2 nights were 2 nights too long. I couldn't imagine, spending years in a place like that. Like
Oh. Mm-mm.
Broadmoor or something like that.
Well, you see, I've never been admitted into the Royal Ed, but I have gone there several times, and I've had some very odd experiences in that place. But I do have to say, it is in a very beautiful part of the town,
It is,
very
yeah.
upmarket, very. I feel posh going going into there, which is very strange. One previous time that I dislocated my shoulder, I went there, because I was getting psychotherapy, and I went there, um, and I was going to be late because I missed my bus. So I got in the taxi, and I had my arm in my sling, and I was like, "Can I please go to the Royal Ed?" And the taxi driver, he was like, "You mean the Royal Infirmary?" And I'm like, which is a A&E hospital.
Yep.
And I was like, no, no, no. I need a different kind of doctor today. Can you please take me to the Royal Ed? But the one thing that always seemed to cheer me up when I was there was they have lots of rabbits on the grounds.
Or when I was there, I wasn't allowed to look out or anything like that. I was
Well,
locked
well,
away.
cause
Locked away.
because I was going for psychotherapy. I was is it an outpatient?
Yeah.
So I was allowed to go in the grounds, and the flowers there are really beautiful as well. It feels welcoming but scary all at the same time, because you never know who you're gonna bump into on the way there or on the way back.
So do you think that well, because of your job, working with dogs, and you own a budgie as well, don't you?
I do.
Do
I
do
have a
you
couple of pets.
do you think that animals help with mental health? Do you believe
Yes,
that?
I 100% believe that. I've always wanted another service animal. I've I've had one in the past. It wasn't mine. It was my mother's. Um, but she would work on me too.
Hmm.
she she would work with me without realizing it because it was just in her nature to do so. But I do find animals very therapeutic. I have a budgie, a bearded dragon, and an axolotl, and my need for want to care for things is very strong. So I've got some lovely rescue creatures that I care for, and that makes me feel a lot better. However, when you're talking about the job, um, yes, sometimes it is lovely. However, sometimes it is very hard, and I don't want to use this word too much,
Mm.
um, but it can trigger.
Yeah.
Um, I have this thing where if I feel like something's needs are not being met, because mine's weren't at one point, I would get really angry and upset with the owner, and I'm not the groomer, it's not my place. So I just sit there fizzing, I'm trying to like keep myself calm. And I'm like, if that was a child, and you start worrying, and then so sometimes it is better, but maybe not my job.
Yeah.
And sometimes you are, puppy pampers sound a lot fun. And sometimes it's not as fun as it sounds. It's introducing new puppies into grooming. So you have to be very careful to not scare them.
Yeah.
So sometimes, sorry, I'm itching my eyebrow. Um, sometimes it can be overwhelming, and in fact, I've talked about it quite a few times in therapy because it's difficult. Um, it is it is a really hard job to do. It is very rewarding, and I love cleaning a dog and making it all fluffy and very snuggly to cuddle into and meeting its needs. But it's really hard to see the rescue or dogs that have been abused. It's
Yeah.
really hard.
Yeah. I mean, I've had pets in the
Mhm.
past. Even at the very start of my journey of knowledge, if you like, into myself,
Mhm.
when I was really struggling, um, my parents bought me a dog just for companionship and that uh, something to, you know, take out
Mhm.
and about. Um,
It
I
feels like
found
it gives
that
you purpose.
I did find that helpful, but and here's the big but. It all it also meant that um, I had someone else to worry about.
Mhm.
So on a off day, um, the dog doesn't know that I'm on an off day. It still needs walked. It still needs fed.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if I'm so down, I will just hide myself away in a room. Nobody sees me, and that's it. And I'm not going
Yeah.
out. It was a little bit of an added um, stress thing.
Mhm. It can be, but it's depending on the day whether if it's a positive or a negative, right?
Yeah,
Because it gets you into a routine, and something that on my bad days I struggle with is getting up, having a shower, getting in outside clothes, and just doing the basic minimal of what it's like self-care,
yeah,
you know although I then on the flip side have anxiety about not being clean, so it's a double-edged sword, that one. So if I leave it a day to have a shower, then I know that my skin complaints will get worse. So then I feel worse. And then when I feel worse, I don't want to leave the house. And when I don't want to leave the house, I won't have want to have a shower because
yep.
I'm feeling so bad. And it's just like a,
It's a vicious
whew,
cycle, isn't it?
yeah.
It's yeah, because
And
I suffer.
oh,
I think we've spoken about this before in private chat as well. I suffer from stress related psoriasis.
mhm,
So when I get a big flare up, um, I just don't want to go out because I don't feel
mm,
comfortable going out, and that
yeah,
stresses me out. which
So
brings on
what's wrong with you?
psoriasis, which then
Oh,
brings on the stress. It's a
it's
vicious
brutal.
cycle. Yeah.
It's really, really brutal. Um, I've had psoriasis. Well, I have psoriasis too. I'm saying had because I've not got a flare up right now. um, but it's also really embarrassing because people's perceptions of what it means to have like that skin complaint because they see what I like to call snow
Mm.
on your shoulders. We
Yeah.
all know what it is.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, you must be unclean." Da, 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 da. And and obviously, you know that I like showering. It makes me feel safe. It makes me feel clean. It makes me feel ready. Da 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 da. Da. So then there's this like you then do other people's thinking for them, and then also like in movies and stuff it's that kid with psoriasis that nobody finds attractive, and then you just
Yeah.
start self-loathing, and then you're like, oh, and then it just yeah, it
Yeah.
escalates real quick.
Yeah.
And it's not from A to B, it's A to Z and
Yes.
back again.
Oh yes. I mean, I've got a couple of friends that they're great, lovely, lovely guys.
Hmm.
Um, but maybe I'm out for a drink with them and chatting, and they won't say anything, but they'll walk past me to go to the toilet or the bar and brush my shoulder like that.
Oh,
Now, I know that that's a nice thing to be doing, but now it's made me aware, and I'm going,
yeah,
oh God, oh
it's one
shoot.
of them like, oh, how nice a friend helping me out. Fuck.
Oh shit! Why did you
I know
point that
that one
out to me?
well. And Tusk Tusk does do that sometimes. But but he'll play it off, and a lot of the time I'll believe him. He'll be like, "Oh, you just had a bit of fluff there, honey."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I won't click. Like we're outside, I'm thinking about other things, I'm not thinking about my scalp. And he'll just like gently brush my shoulder and be like, "Oh, you just had a wee bit of fluff on you. Look at you leaving the house
oh,
with fluff on."
oh, see, that's
Like,
nice.
or oh, the dog's following you from the groomer. Like, and you know what? It could be fluff. The amount of fluffy things I have in my house and the amount of fluffy dogs I cuddle, it's unreal. So it could be either or. So I'm inclined to believe him when he says it, but I
Yeah.
know it's not always that. It can't always be. It can't be the top I've never worn in the groomers. What I mean? But the least they could have done is made up a ridiculous lie.
So,
um,
uh, is your psoriasis stress related? Is it related to your mental health?
I've never noticed the pattern, but I know mine changes a lot when the weather does, and I
Hmm.
know mine can be affected a lot by central heating.
Right.
So, not entirely sure. There's a big possibility that it is, but I don't remember ever not having it.
It's just that I mean I've noticed certainly over the past few years anyway that if I'm going through an episode where I'm flipping,
Mm.
the next again day I'll be in bloody agony because the psoriasis has come back and it's
Mm.
backs of my legs and things like that. I can't even get out of bed.
Oh,
It's horrible.
mine's was that bad. However, I'm very lucky that my psoriasis that did used to cover my cheeks and eyelids aren't there anymore. They've not been there since I was 8. I used to get pretty much wrapped in bandages with tar smelling cream on.
Mm.
And I'ma tell you, that was horrific. Because then I was that kid that smelled like
Yeah.
tar.
Yeah.
And everybody knew what that was. And it was just, ugh. But I do also have eczema. Thanks,
Right.
mom and dad.
Oh, brilliant, innit?
Yeah. I've got psoriasis where my dad has it and eczema where my mom does. Um, but and now I do, but before I pretty much had psoriasis everywhere and eczema the same, and it was hard to differentiate what was what. Um,
Mm.
but weirdly, so like we went to Australia when I was 8. Um, mm, oh yeah, and um, we were there for a month, and my psoriasis disappeared on my body,
Well, it's
and
the
so did my
sunshine.
eczema.
It's the
Yeah, the
sunshine, isn't it?
sun, and supposedly the sea salt as well.
Yeah.
I was a beach baby. I loved the beach. Um, but I mean, whenever I think about Australia now, I always think about the bathroom in Korea. I think I told you that story.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh yeah, that was actually scary,
Yeah, you
but
you
young I
told
did
you
not
told me
register it.
that story, but you haven't told uh,
Oh yeah,
the
I
people
may have
that
not.
story.
Um, yeah, I'll tell it. When I was, as you know, 8, we went to Australia, and I decided that I would, be a big brave girl, as how I identified at the time, and go to the bathroom by myself. And so I did. And my mom and dad was like in like a restaurant thing just outside it. And my mom realized that I was not, coming out so soon. So she was starting to get anxious, and she'd, you know, this the story about the little boy in Liverpool was definitely terrifying. And hit home, and well, what actually was happening was, I presume, a little Korean lady, elderly lady, like a little grandma, was trying to kidnap me. She was over the children's cubicle trying to convince me to go with her, and I'm very nearly almost dead. So she was trying to coax me, and she kept saying, you have beautiful eyes. Like, I like your eyes. Like, will you come with me? And I was like, no, I'm not leaving without my mother. And well, I never said mother, I said mama. And she was like, well, she told me that she would meet us outside of the airport. Like, she'll meet us later, that I'm going to take you to her. And I never realized until later on how dangerous and scary that could have actually have been. And my mom did come in and beat the crap out of her because she thought this little old lady was watching me pee, which was creepy in itself because I was peeing throughout
Yeah.
this. Um, so yeah, almost being kidnapped in Korea.
So did you tell your parents that story
Only till we were on
at
the
the time?
plane.
Oh right,
No, not till we were on the plane
right.
going from Korea to Australia. And my mom was livid. She was like, I'm glad I kicked her head in. Like, like when she was like, I would have, and then when I was older, obviously the story about Madeline McCann came out.
Mm.
And there'd been a few other cases, but that's the first one that I can think of. And my mom was like, that could have been you. And it wasn't till she went, that could have been you, till I was like,
Mm.
oh my God, it could have been,
Yeah.
and goodness knows what she was wanting to do with me or what was going to happen to me. But she seemed very obsessed with my eyes.
It does make you wonder how often something like that happens that hasn't touched the media. You know,
Mhm.
you mentioned Madeleine McCann there because it was such a big story. Still is quite a big story, certainly in the UK anyway. Um, but there are many others out there that we've obviously just never heard about
Mhm.
because it's never hit mainstream media. Now, if it can happen as easily as that
Mhm.
to you, you know, way back in the day, then how many other poor little kids are going through that kind of
Mhm.
nonsense?
I dare not imagine. I dare not imagine because if my mom wouldn't have come in, then if it makes sense, then I wouldn't have seen her.
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't have thought that I would have thought that it was the right thing to do to go with her.
So were you almost contemplating it, were you?
Yeah, at first I was adamant I wasn't going to, but then she was convincing me
Hmm.
that, oh, well, maybe my mom would say that. Why wouldn't she?
Yeah.
Well, she's a woman, therefore she's safe. And that's what was scary because I was told don't go with strange men.
Yeah. But all
But
men
she
are
was a little
strange.
old lady. She was a little old lady. She seemed harmless. And we read storybooks about, the little granny and, Red Riding Hood
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So we're told little old ladies are safe,
Yep.
but it's not true.
No, it certainly isn't. It certainly isn't.
Mm-mm.
So
No
I've
stranger.
we've deviated off of our main
We have a
topic a
little,
bit,
sorry.
but no, like, because it's just a chat. It's we see where it goes. A lot of people in the chat talking about psoriasis. It seems to be a thing that
Mhm.
quite a lot of people have it.
Yeah,
Um,
me and Rob Parks have spoke about it quite a few times as well. I'm seeing he's saying it in the side chat.
yeah.
Um, and
No-
I suggested Sleepy from Lush. It might help. If not, you'll smell like a lavender gingerbread
Well,
person.
that's what you told me. Go to the
Yeah.
Lush store.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, honestly, it's one of the few things that does I'm not allergic to, and it's really moisturizing. And I normally put it on at night, and it helps my scalp. I've not had massive flares up, but I tend to flare up whenever my hair gets a bit longer. So I try and keep it short now. I've realized the number one guard isn't quite um, short enough to sustain with the high velocity dryers and the groomers.
no.
Soon I'll be an egg. I'll just be shaving it with a razor. I'll be a little egg.
Do any of you guys in the chat have any other questions for it or myself or both? Even. Doomver said that when he was in Korea, little old ladies would sell you children.
Oh
Oh,
gosh.
golly
I
gosh,
wait, no,
Batman.
I think I remember Denver telling me that. I may have been sold.
How much would have they got for you?
Um, I probably would have annoyed them by talking about what was that? I was talking about dog breeds at that time and pointing them out and naming everything about the dog breed and its
So they would.
and its exercise.
So
They
they would have
probably would have
just
got
turned
bored.
around and said, "Could you please take this one back?"
Yeah, they would have just put me back in the toilet. Probably. I'm definitely a chatterbox.
I've had it up
Um,
to here with dogs. Take it
yeah,
away. Take it away.
yeah. I mean, there's a running theme with me, you see. I've always liked them. They've always brought a big comfort to me. Um, so whenever I would see a dog, I'd be like, what type of dog's that? What's its coat like? Does it shed? How much exercise does it need? Da 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 da.
Yeah.
So I would have been like, that's that dog, and that needs that much walking, and this is how this is how you train your dog, and da 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 da. And oh, if only this person would maybe and I'd be like, oh no, oh no.
So were you that child at school that every essay that you were asked to write was always about dogs and stuff?
Pretty much, I managed to sneak that in the story of Christmas as well.
Well,
It was from a dog's point of view, you see.
yeah.
Because somehow there was a dog there. Well, the shepherds needed someone to help them herd, right?
Oh, that's true. That's very true.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But I do also want to say I do appreciate the lemon tea today. I do really do.
Yeah,
The lemon tea
I'm
and the
not going to
7
make
Up.
another one because my kettle's just a foot away from me, and it's really quite noisy. So
Oh, have you got one of them kettles that almost takes off?
pretty much, yeah. It's yeah, it's like a NASA thing. um, so I better not brew myself another one. But there you go. But I got water anyway.
I've just seen Dan's comment.
Wait, what's Dan saying?
He said, I swear to God, if you don't shut up, I'm gonna turn this free candy and puppies van around. That's such a sick joke, but I mean, the yeah, I probably would have gone, oh, okay. Like, no, dear. Um,
Well, we
yeah.
don't seem to have any more questions, and we're running very close to that time of
Ooh, time of night.
major shutdown because I don't know about you, Ed, but I could do with getting my head down for the night. I'm like, oh bloody hell, I'm knackered.
I am getting close to it. I
Yeah.
mean, as you can see, my eyes are doing all sorts of weird things.
I was,
And
I thought that was just the hair.
oh yeah, yeah, it's my hair in my eyes in real life.
Oh right.
And I keep doing this weird thing with my lip, my lip as well, and making me go like, because I keep having to like pull it away from my mouth because I need to put more clove oil on, and it tastes so wrong.
Right, let's just see who's all been in.
Oh yes.
There's been a Rob Parks. There's been a Dan Hetfield.
Hmm.
Funnily enough, there's been Ette Lil Rage.
Weird.
That's a bit spooky. How can you be in two places at once?
I'm a ninja.
There's been a Doomver, the Northern Aggressor, Rob
Timber.
Slide.
Ark.
There's been Archangelus Linny,
There you
or
are. Sorry,
is it
stud
not
muffin.
Stud Muffin?
Yes, yes, I forgot. I keep
Um,
forgetting. See, I
there's
can't remember how it came about, but that's it. Stud muffin.
there's a Slew Suffer.
Ooh.
Um, that's the first time that I've seen that name actually.
Good guy.
Um, anyone else? I mean, I can see that there's 10
The,
watching just now.
there's Mark. I'm a vegan hunter.
Oh, was he in?
Mm-hmm. They're there. Tusk.
Oh, Tusk has been in, right enough. Yeah,
Chris
he's
Dunham.
he's been busy back and forth, isn't he? He's doing
Mm-hmm.
something.
And Chris Durham. Music
Chris
channel.
Durham, yeah,
And Dan.
yeah. I think I said Dan the man. They've been the ones that have been vocal anyway.
And there's a lurky lurkers.
And there's yeah, there must be a few lurking. But there you go. Right. So in this last 10 minutes, guys,
Fire round questions.
throw throw out those questions, because
Fire round.
I can't
Go,
think
go,
of
go.
any.
You can do
I
it.
can't think of any, so I'm gonna throw it to the floor. You guys, just chuck out random questions. Uh, they're not going to, are they? Really?
They should. Come on. Surely there's something you want to ask. Because I'm more than happy to be as open and honest as I can be.
Well, here's the thing then. Back when you were diagnosed, back when you were 18,
Mm-hmm.
what's the difference do you see in the way that people perceive mental health issues back then to now? Has there been a progression, or
I feel like there has been a little bit more. For me, normally when I say I have BPD, people tend to know and understand what it is before without me having to explain, which is great because which is very, very helpful. You kind of get tired of explaining, um, because then you feel like you're just listing off a bunch of traits,
hmm,
and it becomes quite frustrating. Um, Although you do get the random questions that become a little bizarre and insensitive, almost. And because people have learned about it, there's quite popular YouTubers that do videos on it who have it, and there's quite popular YouTubers that have interviews with people with BPD and stuff. So I feel like with the internet, there's more access
yep,
to information, and people want to learn. I feel like people do want to learn, and there still is a stigma because obviously there's the TV shows and movies and documentaries of people with BPD that has done very scary things. So I do feel like there's a little stigma, a lot stigma still there.
a lot, a ton of it, really.
Yes, but I feel like people now at least know what it is, and rather than me having to explain all the time. But the insensitive questions are normally like, so what gave you the trauma that gave you BPD? And you're like,
Oh,
whoa,
I
oh
mean,
God,
really?
okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's like, do you want me to spill my guts to you?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I like I'm happy to talk about some things that are a possibility that may have given me BPD, but you could have got BPD from bullying at school.
Yeah.
Like you literally could have got BPD from that,
It could have
which
been
also happened
a
to me.
small, it could have been such a
Hmm.
small incident that happened in your life, but you perceived it to be
Hmm.
massive. Uh, and that's the point, really.
Hmm.
We've got a few
Exactly.
questions in. Uh,
Ooh.
Dan's asked me and yourself, has your mental
Ooh.
health ever compromised a job? I can answer that off the bat for myself anyway, Dan, and say no. Funnily enough, it hasn't, for the simple fact that I think I was too focused on what I was doing. That
Mm.
I think that overcame anything. Uh, Maybe I would have an episode after it, but
Mm.
not during it because I was too focused. And you generally don't. Um, it seems to take away from any of your behaviors and things when you're that focused on something. That's what works for me anyway. I don't know about you, Ed.
My first ever job was a creative job. So, and I've kind of been always in creative workplaces. Like I've been in the theater arts. I've been, well, in fact, I was a barber from 18 onward until lockdown. And so I've had years under my belt with that.
Mm.
Um, and now dog grooming. So for my oh no wait, I've also worked in it's maybe affected me in when I was working in game and B&M
Mm.
because it was not a creative job. So it didn't make my brain happy. So it
Right.
didn't scratch my itch for wanting to make things and do stuff.
Mm.
So I wasn't very well when I was working at them two places. So my first job, it oddly helped because you could really delve into character stories.
Uh-huh.
So I was like 16 to 18 where I worked at that job, and I was a creative assistant. I helped with set and performance and costume design. So it helped. It didn't compromise, but it helped. It potentially compromised B&M and game, but I never lost my job due to my mental health. Um, it made me not want to go in.
Yeah.
But you see, unfortunately, um, my voice leads people to think I'm happy when I'm not.
Mm.
And because of the tones I use and the way I inflect and stuff like that. And also, I've got big eyes, so it kind of always looks like I'm a little bit of a rabbit in the headlights, regardless of how I feel.
Right.
Um, so I either look slightly scared or sound really excited, and people just kind of accept that that's how I look. And I'm also really good at pretending I'm okay when I'm not, which
Yeah.
is not a good thing.
No,
But
but it's something that you learn over
mhm,
time to do, and it's a very hard thing to shake off.
mhm. Oh
And I guess you never actually shake it off. It's just something that's with
no,
you. It's just something
you.
that's there.
I'm trying to unlearn. I'm trying to unlearn the toxic side of it,
Yeah.
where it's putting on a brave face for everyone. I understand in the workplace, I'm very lucky that I'm close with my boss. So I can say, look, I'm having a really bad day today,
Hmm.
and she's like, okay, well, how about we have a nice coffee before we start? And that'll maybe cheer you up. And it normally does because it's a double
Yeah.
chocolate coffee that I have. And I'm
All
like,
right.
woohoo! You know, so it normally does cheer me up. And so, yeah, I feel like dropping the mask can help. And sometimes it's necessary. For face to face customers, it's necessary.
Yeah. Right. The next question is from Rob Parks. What is your oh god? Because he. What is your favourite colour? What is your quest?
Oh.
My quest is to seek the Holy Grail. my my favourite colour is blue. No, red. Ah.
Ooh, a specific shade of red?
Oh yes, maroon.
Uh huh.
I'm a very happy laddie after the weekend.
I can imagine.
Um, has there anyone
Mm,
else?
mm,
Oh, Ark
mhm.
asks you, have you recovered from watching the sparkly vampire movie?
Somewhat. I still need to go for the others, and then I will work on looking after my mental health again. um, but no, yes, I have recovered from it. Can I say my favorite color in my quest?
Yes, of course you can.
Okay, so okay, my favorite colors at the moment is blue and green and anything in between. Like I love all the turquoises and all of that.
Oh, well, there you go. That's a
But I
wide spectrum then.
it is a wide spectrum, but also I'm very indecisive, so it's perfectly me. Sometimes my favorite color is yellow.
And what is your quest?
Mm, my quest. That one I didn't quite have an answer for, but I hope to walk through life as harm free as I can
Oh,
to others.
see, that's nice.
Wholesome content. Wholesome. To the best of my ability. Some people just need a kicking. But
Yeah, and sometimes you just want to be so destructive. It's like,
yeah.
wow.
Try your best not to do harm to people and stick up for the underdogs.
Yeah, because certainly there's an awful lot of them around.
Yep.
Right, everyone seems to be
Chilling.
chilling away. Yeah,
Oh.
Rob Parks is away, I think. Um, no, I mean going away. He says, "Peace
No,
out,
no,
everyone." I doesn't mean that he's. Uh,
no, that's not why I was giggling. I'm sorry. I looked at the side chat and I seen Dan's question.
what was Stan's what? Oh, what is the
Dan's
average
question,
airspeed of a swallow?
I can't remember the retort to that.
Is that fully laden? Is that a European swallow or an African swallow?
That was it. That was it. I couldn't remember. I had a brain glitch. Oh, I love that movie too. I can't believe I
Yeah,
forgot.
it's brilliant. Monty Python are just so funny. Even to
Mm.
this day, the
Oh, they do tickle me, so they do.
yeah. Anyway, on that note, people, we're gonna wrap it up here because it is past 9:30. We've actually We've gone longer than I actually thought we would.
Like a boss.
But there you go. Um, so before everyone leaves, if you haven't already, remember and hit that subscribe button and share it about, and please like, or even hit the dislike if you fancy. Just make sure when you hit the dislike, hit it twice, and that works better. Um, and jump down into the descriptions where you can see Ette's YouTube channel and the two people that made this absolutely beautiful avatar for it.
Thank you.
Anything you have to say at the end, Ette?
Okay, I'm about to mother yous all. Try your best to stay hydrated. Don't forget to have your 3 meals a day and be kind to yourself.
That's a beautiful end note. Everyone, take care and love you all, and we will see you very, very soon.